Right, I'm going to be reviewing the scene from Whiplash where Miles Teller, also named Andrew in this film, is practicing the Whiplash drum routine to impress the character of Terence Fletcher, played by J.K. Simmons, and how he basically puts himself through incredible pain, even injuring himself, just to achieve his dream, the dream of being a jazz drummer in a famous jazz orchestra, or band, should I say. Now, the reason why I chose this particular scene is because it shows his drive, his dedication, his desire to be a part of the jazz world, to be a famous and accomplished jazz drummer. Now, the reason why this scene in particular I chose out of the entirety of the film is because I believe this shows the full extent of how far he's willing to go to achieve his dream, his desire. And now, the Lacan's theory of desire is once you achieve it, then you become pointless because you've spent that's all you think about. You just, when you desire something, you don't have it. If you desire something, you don't have it personally, so then that's what you want it. That's the thing you want most in this world. And for the character of Andrew, he wants to become a jazz drummer. And so throughout the entirety of the film, we see his struggle, we see the passion and the desire to become better each and every time we see him. And in this particular scene, he thrives and he tries so hard to make sure he gets the right tempo and the right speed for this drum solo. I'm not really a jazz expert. I don't know what it's called. Drums. I'm going to say drum solo. And right, we're just going to play it. Oh, there you go. Right, pause it here because obviously this is a very key point in the scene. The scene generally isn't on for very long, but the frustration. The reason why I wanted to highlight this frustration is because this is his obsession. Throughout the entirety of the film, you clearly see all he wants to do is impress Terence, or Fletcher as he's mainly called throughout the entirety of the film. All he wants to do is impress him. He wants to get that nod of approval to say, you've done it, you've made it. In my eyes, you are good. That's all he wants to do. And he can't achieve that because he can't do this tempo. He can't keep up with the speed. And therefore, this is driving him insane. He's trying his hardest. He's practicing and practicing and practicing, but he can't quite get it. And so visual frustration in the film clearly shows his passion, his dedication for this to become, obviously, a jazz drummer. Now, the reason why this is important is because it emphasizes the point of it becomes a part of you. It becomes you. Your every waking moment. When the thing you desire most, if you really desire it, you will try as hard as you possibly can to get it. You'll try anything and do everything to achieve your desire. And as you can see here, he's doing everything he possibly can, and it's not coming up. So that frustration is boiling over, and it shows on screen. Again, as you can see, to the point of he's injuring himself, physically hurting his hand due to the amount of times due to pure friction, obviously, because he's trying to keep up with the speed. He's injuring himself. Like he will draw as much blood as he possibly can just to get that approval and just to, in his own head, in his own mind, make it. But this scene, this particular part of it could be taken many ways, but the way I interpreted it when I first watched this film was it's a visual representation of his desire. It's a visual representation of it sort of flooding his mind. He's becoming him. He is driven and determined to do that one thing and that one thing only. Nothing else matters to him except for this. Now, the colour red can be taken the colour red can be interpreted many different ways in the film genre in total, but the way I've took it at is rage and frustration. The rage and frustration because he cannot physically achieve this one thing that he's striving for is sort of taking over him. The cleanness and the ice water, like the purity of the water, is being taken over by this flow of anger, this rage, this desire to achieve his dream. But since he can't do it, it's frustrating him. It's boiling over in him. It's really making his life miserable because he can't grasp this one thing. Now, I've already talked about this. I've already talked about this previously in this clip, so I ain't gonna drag on about it. But that's more of just a close up of his frustration, just a close up of him being fully engulfed in just pure rage. And I guess as I've paused it here, I guess it also leads to somewhat of a depression. Because think about it, if you're trying your physical hardest, as hard as you possibly can, as fast as you can go, as much as you're giving into this, and you can't achieve it, that feeling of sort of doubt kicks in. Like, should I be doing this? Is this the right thing? But then when you've dedicated your entire sort of time and effort and being into doing the thing that you want to achieve, and then you realize either you can't achieve it, and there's that theory of lack of, well, if you can't achieve it, then you're lacking it constantly, so you're constantly desiring it. Or it's the theory of you can achieve it and you can get it, but then as soon as you get it, what next? I covered that before, but what I mean by that is what next is when you achieve something that you've strived for, or you've worked really hard for, whether it be a grade or whether it be a medal or an award. Once you get it, at that particular point, or maybe just a little bit after, your life becomes almost purposeless, because the purpose, the thing driven you, is now gone. The thing that you dedicated your entire time to is done. So for at least that short period, you feel, well, you feel purposeless. You feel like everything you've done is not so much for nothing, but that's it. There's no continuation. You're just left. And that's why Lacan's theory is really special, especially for this film. Like, this film especially is, I wouldn't say it's definitely not based on the theory of Lacan, but you can see there's clear links to it. Obviously, I know that's not what the director originally intended, but from a from a psychological standpoint, you can definitely see the clear sort of how you can link it to Lacan's theory. Anyway, that's the end of the clip.